Why aren't more people concerned at the idea of a cashless society? I see so many people, especially on Reddit, say things like, why would I ever use cash? I haven't even seen a note in years, I just use my smartphone for all payment, which is fair enough, if that's convenient for you. But the implication of all transactions becoming digital raises many issues regarding personal autonomy of spending. You could easily be restricted in what you're allowed to purchase and how much of it you're allowed to purchase. Gone over your weekly food allowance. Tough shit. Donated money to a political cause that goes against the interests of the authorities. Account frozen. Reached your weekly fuel limit. Guess you're not driving anywhere this week. The possibilities are endless, but you sound paranoid for even saying things like this. The centralized power a cashless society would allow is honestly scary. Good luck enforcing that. I'm getting my bottle caps out. We've had banks for centuries. There's always been the possibility of waking up tomorrow and your money is worthless. Money is a mutually agreed upon creation. One of the reasons that Spain lost their foothold in the New World was because they were focused on importing money and not wealth. The thing is, cash, as in paper notes, have very similar limitations. You're not very likely to have large quantities of it at your homes, so you're still dependent on electronic transactions to even get some visit to the ATM. The government can still freeze your assets in that case too. So unless you keep large quantities of cash, then you're in a similar boat than with cashless transactions. That's certainly a concern, but you're forgetting one thing, dude. Those aren't concerns of a cashless society. Those are concerns of a dystopian future. Those things can still happen even if we use cash. All the things you mention can already be done by a nefarious fascist dictatorship government. Regardless of the mode of pay. Cashless might make it easier. But that is also true for anything that makes everyday life more frictionless. And cashless is definitively one of those things. At the end of the day, cashless or not is just not where the battle lines are, or where one should put one's concern about government control. As long as there is a functioning democracy, this will not happen. And if there isn't, you need to fight for that. Worrying about cashless is worrying on the wrong level. Surely a future dystopian government could just require all shops to scan some kind of ID at checkout. Digital transactions would be easier to control. But if the government really wanted to, it wouldn't be impossible to track and control cash spending. If we get to a stage where the governing is as authoritarian as the one you described, they probably wouldn't leave cash as an easy loophole to avoid their restrictions. Repressive dictatorships have existed throughout history. This has all happened in cash-based societies. People are fucking stupid. It would be a nightmare for people that get their money in cash. And that includes beggars, older people, or anyone that operates a small cash business. In the end, those people would either be dependent on someone to handle their money, only be able to earn money working for someone else, or be rendered even poorer. The absolute end of financial sovereignty and privacy. People promoting this abomination should be tossed in a volcano. Cash is more appreciated in countries that actually suffer those things, while developed countries take all their liberties and rights for granted. Argentinian government had literally taken its citizens' saving accounts more than once, like literally replacing all your money with crappy bonds. And also has ridiculously high taxes. While at the same time government takes care of every bank operation you do as taxes. So yeah, cash is much more appreciated. Even if government just keeps printing and the highest bill is now worth less than $2. Probably BC most people already don't use cash. You know they can do these things with cash too. Right? They would just make you show your ID. In the case of gas. I know they have used license plates in the past also. We aren't actually getting rid of cash. So it's entirely optional to not use it. Everyone is missing the point. It's not about value of money. The point is that without cash, private exchange no longer exists, and whoever controls the digital exchange can control you. Honestly, I only thought of the convenience. This is a very good point. Thanks. It's dumb, I know, but people like to believe those in authority have their best interests at heart. A cashless society is majorly going to fuck over homeless people. I'm in a pub tonight in a remote town in Australia. Licensing laws say they must cease trading at midnight. There are 8 of us and we are all staying overnight. The owner told us we could still drink after midnight, but we had to pay cash, as any EFTPOS transactions would indicate they had breached their license. Fortunately, a few of us had cash. Cheers. I guess IDK how cash fixes all of this. I'd prefer a post-scarcity society that devalues cash. The difficult part of implementing things that you are concerned about are the implementation. If some political power wants to do it, they can already do it even if you pay in cash, e.g. regulations imposed on the sellers, tracking car registration numbers, etc. But most likely it will not happen in a democratic society. And if it happens, it's a sign that people agree on that. Because it doesn't matter. They can do all those things now. Have a large sum of cash on you. Cops can seize it under suspicion of criminal activity. And then the burden is on you to prove that it isn't the spoils of criminal activity, or intended for use for criminal activity. It's called civil asset forfeiture. Fuel rationing. Require everyone to have a card that tracks your fuel purchasing, and limit you that way. Whether the currency is physical or digital, it's equally fictional, and they can impose whatever restrictions they want. Where I'm from, the idea of going cashless sounds so insane that a lot of places don't even take cards. 99.9% of money is digital. The problem you are worried about is already a thing. China. But all of that was already done with a cash society. You do know that, right? And every penny of your cash has been controlled by centralized banks for a century. Literally look one step past your conspiracy theory and you'll realize we haven't had freedom or autonomy since before your grandparents were born. I worked in a big grocery store once when there was a credit card outage on MasterCard and people lost their damn minds 'cause they couldn't buy groceries without cash. Because they don't appreciate the benefits of cash and only see the advantages of a convenient cashless society. All of the boogeymen that you're afraid of are possible with cash too. You just want to be afraid of something. I could be one of the few here. But I completely agree with you. A cashless society, where all transactions are digital, is really fragile. An authoritarian government can simply freeze your account or limit the way you can spend your money. Because, for example, you were caught protesting. Or because you went against the ruling party by refusing to do certain things. Scary stuff. But I think this is a lost battle. Many people can't see these things as they are drunk with these new digital trends. Is this conversation about buying drugs?